Hello and welcome to How to Build an Archetype. Sorry for the detour to other games. Now I'm back again to metaphorrefantazio with the next installment, Gunner. Yeah, most people will think it is Thief this time, but technically you'd unlock Gunner first, so now it's Gunner's time. I personally have mixed feelings towards Gunner because this is my personal least used Archetype lineage in the game, and the kit itself, while useful in some niches, it's not that great. But that's where I come in to make Gunner work. I have to preface this first to someone new to my channel. My build videos are not the ultimate guide to build an archetype to be as strong as possible. While some aspects do go that route, my main purpose for these videos is to have fun with the building process and encourage people to build your own archetype builds. My approach with this is I usually analyze the theme, role, and characteristics of that archetype and expand upon their niche, making them stronger while keeping their core personality. If you're on board with that, come join me in building Gunner. But before that, we have a word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by First 4 Figures with their new figure lineup, FiGGYZ. FiGGYZ is a very unique figure-like collectible by First 4 Figures. It is a pixel art-like figure that is surprisingly compact and stylish, while also being modular and highly customizable. FiGGYZ consists of the character art of your choice and a reversible background to accompany your character FiGGYZ. With a stand and a 3M magnet included, FiGGYZ can be placed wherever you want and however you want. FiGGYZ also has a special system where in each purchases there is a chance to get a very special prestige background colored in bronze, silver, or gold. It is a very low chance to get them, but don't fret, because the nature of FiGGYZ being highly modular and customizable is that these can be traded with fellow collectors. In fact, FiGGYZ also has a dedicated app to connect and trade with other collectors. Right now, FiGGYZ is releasing the second wave of metaphorrefantazio FiGGYZ, which just so happens to include the character where you get today's archetype that we are talking about, Neurus. This wave also includes other notable characters from metaphorrefantazio, including Graius, Juna, and Yufa. However, if you wanted a FiGGYZ from other series, FiGGYZ also made a lot more from other fan favorite series, such as Persona 5, Persona 3 Reload, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance, Frieren, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Sonic the Hedgehog, Street Fighter, Cowboy Bebop, The Witcher, Cyberpunk 2077, and a lot more. So if you're interested in FiGGYZ, what are you waiting for? Check them out at FiGGYZ.com and use my coupon code IZANAGI on checkout to get a 5% discount on orders above $50. Once again, that's coupon code IZANAGI on checkout to get a 5% discount on orders above $50. Thank you again to First 4 Figures and FiGGYZ for sponsoring this video. So, as I've said before, I have mixed feelings with Gunner. That's because Gunner has such an interesting gimmick. Gunner took the physical damage dealer archetype to the backline, where in metaphorrefantazio, the backline isn't really friendly to physical damage dealers, because being in the backline significantly decreases physical damage output but gains more defense in return, reducing damage taken significantly. With the combination of having high agility stat, Gunner actually is kind of a durable archetype, taking less damage because of the backline position, having more dodge chance because of the agility, but being balanced by having a weakness in slash damage. Anyway, in terms of their offensive capabilities, the damage output would get decreased due to the physical damage output decrease for being in the backline, but again is balanced out by having a lot of their skills having the extra effect of dealing multiple status ailments, including sleep, poison, and hex. So my thoughts for Gunner is that this is not really an archetype that specializes in dishing out damage, but more of a utility support type of archetype that specializes in inflicting ailments to enemies. Gunner is also an archetype that utilizes high agility to hit attacks and dodge incoming attacks, while also focusing attacking weaknesses on enemies weak to pierce damage. Furthermore, there's one more thing that I should mention about Gunner, is that Gunner's overworld combat is very strong and is probably the selling point of Gunner in the first place. Overworld combat with melee attacks can be rough when you're not used to the enemy's attack pattern, which can lead to you getting ambushed, which can instantly make you lose the game entirely. Gunner being ranged, having a clear distance from the enemy, makes the overworld combat much easier and more comfortable, so you don't have to worry about getting ambushed easily. But to talk about building Gunner, probably the best way to make the Gunner experience better while upholding its theme is to give Gunner some boost of physical damage, or by giving some more capabilities in inflicting status ailments. So, The first thing that I wanted to mention is Heat Up from Warrior. It's a percentage boost to physical damage sources, which Gunner had 3 of them, so it's probably the best passive skill to get for Gunner. Further than that, there's actually not much more skills that can be considered for amplifying the physical damage output. Probably the other skill that can be considered is Battle Cry from Brawler. Since Gunner can buff agility as well with Sukukaja, it's probably good to bring out a buff to both attack and defense for the Gunner as well. It will increase the pierce damage that the Gunner will deal and also increase the durability when being attacked, even further after the already boost in durability for being in the backline. Other than these 2 skills, we could have more ailment inflicting attack skills to broaden the options of ailments for Gunner. These options I handpicked are Skullcracker from Brawler to inflict Forget, Dark Sword from Thief to also inflict Forget, Fiery Strike from Commander to inflict Burn, or Flame Vanguard from Commander to also inflict Burn. It is a choice between Skullcracker and Dark Sword for Forget. It is a preference in which affinity that you want. For the case of Fiery Strike and Flame Vanguard, it's a choice between single target and multi-target, but also if you want the damage being physical or magic. Gunner skews a little bit more on strength than magic, but generally speaking, an exchange to magic damage while getting a multi-target skill, while also enabling backline cast without a decrease in damage is enough to consider Flame Vanguard. Again, this is mainly adaptable according to your personal preference and build across the game. Unfortunately, I don't think there's any more noticeable skill to inherit to Gunner, so let's go right to Gunner's synthesis skills. For this section, I rate Gunner's synthesis skills so that I can recommend a team lineup that makes Gunner be able to cast the synthesis skills. The first one of the bunch is Wild Barrage, which is a multi-target pierce physical skill made for encounters with multiple enemies. It is especially useful for enemies that are weak to pierce because you will attack their weak points, and either you clear out the encounter early, or if not, it refunded 2 half-turn icons for more actions on your turn. So needless to say, this synthesis skill is great. To get Wild Barrage, pair your Gunner with either another Gunner, a Faker, or a Summoner. The next synthesis skill is Mania Bullet, and I think this is the best synthesis skill that Gunner has to offer. A huge single target nuke with a pierce weakness implant could easily make enemies or bosses that don't block pierce damage a breeze to fight, since you can do multiple Mania Bullets to strike on that weakness. That's usually the best strategy, or you can use the weakness implant so that Gunner's normal skills will do more damage. I'm pretty sure this won't affect the ailment affliction chance, but the increase in damage is already worth it. Furthermore, it also implants slash and strike weakness as well, alongside the pierce weakness, making it actually 3 weakness implants, which makes this synthesis skill synergize very well with other physical damage dealers. To get Mania Bullet, pair your Gunner with either a Thief, a Faker, or a Merchant. The last synthesis skill is Masuku Kaja, which is a decent agility boost to all allies. It's not a bad skill, and considering that you'd get access to the normal skill version of Masuku Kaja a little bit later into the game from Warlord, getting access to a team-wide agility buff is great to make sure your attacks hit more often, but more importantly, it makes your party dodge more attacks, essentially having more survivability for the whole team. To get Masuku Kaja, pair your Gunner with either a Seeker, a Knight, or a Commander. To get all of these synthesis skills, the archetypes that are repeated are both Faker and Commander, making a team with Gunner, Faker, and Commander already make Gunner's synthesis skills available to cast. Not to mention a team with Faker and Commander already made the team a buff and debuff heavy team, which makes Gunner's overall damage output even better with this team. Putting another Gunner in the team could also make for a great Gunner combo team, since both Gunners can cast all of the synthesis skills with that team. But if you don't want that team, you can always pick whatever archetypes listed before. Since there's only 3 synthesis skills, you can work it out easier since it matches the number of party members as well. For example, a team with a Knight, a Faker, and 1 flexible slot can be good for a team with more survivability options. Choose whatever you want to suit your playstyle. Going to the Adept archetype of the Gunner Lineage, it is Sniper. Sniper pretty much has the same gimmick as Gunner. With high agility and strength, it's the go-to archetype to mainly deal pierce damage. However, the difference with Gunner is that Sniper more so focuses on dealing high amounts of pierce damage, way more than Gunner, rather than to inflict status ailments while dealing pierce damage. It is evident by the non-existence of ailments within Sniper's set of pierce skills, but instead have two multi-target pierce attack skills, and a single target pierce attack that reduces the enemy's defense. Sniper also had decent survivability on top of the backline playstyle, with Harvest siphoning HP on defeating enemies, and a pierce dodge skill built in. So let's make Sniper deal more damage and also make them more versatile. A quick mention to Heat Up again from Warrior, as it synergizes well with Sniper's all physical attacks. It's a good amount of damage boost and can be acquired early into the game. But more than that, if you have unlocked Dark Knight from the Knight Lineage, Pierce boost from Dark Knight could also be a great boost in damage to your Pierce attack, increasing the damage by 20%. If you still want a passive boost in damage later on, you could slot in either Attack Lore from Samurai, Flawless from Dark Knight, or Sense of Kinship from Berserker. Attack Lore and Flawless provide automatic Tarukaja on battle start, while Sense of Kinship is practically Heat Up but isn't restricted to physical damage only. However, beyond a passive damage boost, putting in passive survivability in terms of agility can improve Sniper's performance in battle. One skill in particular is Slash Dodge from Swordmaster to increase the dodge chance of Sniper towards incoming slash damage. It helps to keep the Sniper alive significantly because Sniper is naturally weak to slash. Furthermore, Agility Lore from Ninja can also prove to be useful for an increase in agility. Similar to Attack Lore from Samurai, Agility Lore is an increase to hit/evasion at the start of a battle, so you'll automatically have an increased chance to dodge more attacks, making more chances to survive difficult battles like being ambushed by enemies, for example. There's also Shadow Dwellers from Assassin that increase overall evasion by 5%, further increasing Sniper's survivability. Furthermore, this one last group of skills will be more of a way to make Gunner not only deal pierce damage, it's an effort to introduce more of other affinities to Gunner. One of my favorite skills in this stage of the game is Lurking Nightblade from Assassin, or the upgraded version of that, Adamant Nightblade from Ninja. It's a dark physical damage skill that also decreases an enemy's hit/evasion rate, making their attacks land less often on you, which synergizes well with Sniper's whole high agility, high dodge rate playstyle. Considering that Sniper will also decrease enemies' defense on one of their peer skills, it's fair game to include other damaging skill with an agility debuff as well. And the last three that I would like to mention are Fiery Strike from Commander, Icy Strike from General, and Thunder Strike Thrust from Dark Knight. These three damage skills are naturally for coverage, dealing either fire, ice, or electric damage as physical damage. Fits really well with Sniper, especially Thunder Strike Thrust with its Pierce-related naming convention. Closing the Sniper section with their synthesis skills, Sniper synthesis skills consist of more damaging pierce damage skills. One of them is a direct transfer from Gunner, being Mania Bullet. One is a direct upgrade from Gunner's synthesis skill, and the last one is a new synthesis skill. Let's talk about Mania Bullet first. Mania Bullet is still the usual strong weakness implant skill to combo with Sniper's pierce attack and also other physical damage dealers slash and strike attacks. Because Metaphor's battle system highly values weakness striking as much as possible, Mania Bullet is still a very strong synthesis skill. To get Mania Bullet, pair your Sniper with either a Thief, a Faker, or a Merchant. Next is the upgrade of Wild Barrage, Myriad Shots. Instead of medium pierce damage ranging from 1 to 3 times, it is increased to 3 to 5 times, making it deal more damage overall. Considering that it has higher potential damage than the normal variant of this skill in Sniper, it is still a worthy skill to push a harder fight that contains multiple enemies. To get Myriad Shots, pair your Sniper with either another Gunner, a Faker, or a Summoner. And the last synthesis skill for Sniper is a new synthesis skill called Bullet Barrage. It deals severe pierce damage to one enemy that also ignores resistances. The main selling point of this is definitely the huge base damage, but the ignore resistance trait is also nice to have. This is generally a synthesis skill for boss fight. It doesn't matter if the boss is resistant or weak or normal to pierce damage, because the synthesis skill ignores resistances. This is a synthesis skill to quickly push out boss fights for the win. Needless to say, it is really strong. To get Bullet Barrage, pair your Sniper with either a Knight, a Healer, or a Commander. The total number of synthesis skills for Sniper is also 3, so taking out one of the mentioned archetypes per synthesis skill would allow you to get all of the synthesis skills in one go. But one repeating party member requirement is Faker for Myriad Shots and Mania Bullet. You can have a party with Faker, a flex between Knight, Healer, or Commander, and one flex of an archetype that you want. For example, Faker, Healer, and Warrior can be a good team focusing on physical damage in different affinities. And lastly, the elite archetype of the Gunner Lineage, Dragoon. You know, Dragoon, as cool as it sounds, this is actually the source of my mixed feelings towards the whole Gunner archetype lineage. Because what the hell happened to Dragoon's kit? So first off, stats are still the same. With high agility and strength, Dragoon should still be the go-to archetype to deal pierce damage while camping the back row, with increased durability and natural dodge rate with the high agility. While Dragoon still has a pierce damage skill to utilize the high strength Dragoon had, the rest of the offensive skills are elemental, fire, ice, and electric. It would be nice and make a lot more sense if these are physical damage, but no, these are all magic damage. So in reality, Dragoon just became a version of Elemental Master, one of the elite archetypes of the mage lineage, but targets multiple enemies, yet deals less damage purely from having less magic stat and less base multiplier, since all of them are medium damage. But I have to admit though, the playstyle here is pretty much clear. Dragoon is used to deal a barrage of damage to all enemies with different affinities and multiple hits at once. So to complement this whole barrage based archetype, let's build them with more offensive attacks, either skewing to more magic or more physical. So for a magic damage based Dragoon, one skill to consider inheriting is one of the multi-target wind damage skills for coverage of one more element. Because Dragoon already had fire, ice, and electric, adding a wind damage skill completes the set, well excluding light and dark. These wind skills to consider are Seeker's Gale from Soul Hacker, Emerald Vortex from Soul Hacker, or Imposing Aura from Warlord. For pure damage, Emerald Vortex is the best out of the bunch. It has the highest damage scaling and ignores resistances. Seeker's Gale to preserve some MP, as it is the most MP efficient by having the ability to drain MP, or Imposing Aura to have the chance to inflict daze as a bonus. The choice is up to your preference, the team composition, and the situation. If you're looking for support/passive skills for magic damage, some skills that come to mind are Hyper from Warlock, Back Boost from Warlord, Magic Reversion from Warlock, and Magic Boost from Elemental Master. Hyper is a simple amplification buff to your next magic attack. It is the equivalent of Concentrate in Persona, so needless to say, this is amazing to have for a magic damage dealer. Back Boost is a lot more of a support since it affects other party members in the back row as well, but me choosing this is because Dragoon camps the back row, so Dragoon will always get its full effect. And for the last two passive skills, Magic Boost is just a straight boost to all of your magic damage on top of the back boost effect, while the Magic Reversion is a slight help to the magic economy that you can have a problem with from spamming your offensive skills. Magic Reversion works when the Dragoon hits the killing blow, but because you'll deal a lot of instances of damage, it is safe to say that most of the killing blow will be by that Dragoon, so Magic Reversion could work really well for their MP economy. However, for a physical damage based Dragoon, the skill inheritance choices are vastly different, and my build for a physical damage based Dragoon won't be just a high physical damage dealer, but more of a speedy type Dragoon that utilizes their high agility stat to the fullest, and somewhat of a debuffing support. My first suggestion is Smashing Salvo from Sniper. Inheriting from Dragoon's previous archetype, this is a perfectly viable skill to decrease the enemy's defense. And because Smashing Salvo is the only single target skill so far, you'll be spamming this on bosses that only have one enemy count, which works really well because you always refresh the defense debuff on that enemy. However, if you want another suggestion of a single target damage skill, my other suggestion is Adamant Nightblade from Ninja, as it works pretty much the same as Smashing Salvo, but deals dark element damage and decreases hit/evasion rate instead. It's beneficial to have an alternative damage affinity and also an alternative debuff to heavily cripple the enemy. Because Dragoon is an agility based archetype as well, it fits the theme quite well. I have 3 additional suggestions that could be beneficial to this build. These skills are Third Eye from Ninja, Charge from Berserker, and Battle Master from Martial Artist. Third Eye is a unique skill where when an enemy is attempting to attack the Dragoon, their accuracy to hit the Dragoon will be cut in half, making it harder to hit the Dragoon. In Persona, this skill is Ali Dance. Then, Charge is the physical damage version of Hyper, amplifying your next physical damage greatly. And the last skill, Battle Master, is more like a complete set to Dragoon's Unshaken Will, preventing all sorts of ailments inflicted to Dragoon. This last one is also viable to the previous magic damage build, so you can put that into consideration. And finally, Dragoon's synthesis skills. There's a lot of synthesis skills from Dragoon, but to put it very simply, Dragoon's synthesis skills are all offensive synthesis skills in different elements or affinities and have different effects. There's Mania Bullet that is transferred from Sniper, representing the pierce physical damage portion of Dragoon's synthesis skills. Bullet Barrage also make a return in Dragoon, acting as the highest pierce physical damage that Dragoon could possibly deal to enemies. If you're playing as a magic damage Dragoon, these skills might not be good to cast, but for a physical damage Dragoon, these synthesis skills are still great, especially since their effects are useful regarding the weakness/resistance system that metaphorrefantazio fosters. To get Mania Bullet, pair your Dragoon with either a Thief, a Faker, or a Merchant. To get Bullet Barrage, pair your Dragoon with either a Knight, a Healer, or a Commander. The next 4 synthesis skills are magic damage synthesis skills, so a magic damage Dragoon will have a great time with this. To put it simply, they are separated from what element they'll deal. First one is Dragoroa, a fire magic damage synthesis skill to one enemy and can inflict burn. Use this against enemies weak to fire. To get Dragoroa, pair your Dragoon with either a Mage, a Mass Dancer, or a Summoner. Second, Cold Dragoroa, dealing ice magic damage to one enemy and can inflict Frostbite. Use this against enemies weak to ice. To get Cold Dragoroa, pair your Dragoon with either a Seeker, a Mage, or a Healer. Then there's Draco Ray, to deal light magic damage and also ignores resistances, making it a much more valuable synthesis skill. Use this against enemies weak to light, or when you want to deal a huge amount of damage to a single enemy. To get Draco Ray, pair your Dragoon with either a Gunner, a Faker, or a Summoner. And lastly, Thunder Fang, to deal electric magic damage to all enemies. This is simpler than the last one, but dealing damage to all enemies in a synthesis skill can be beneficial at times, and needless to say, use this against enemies weak to electric. To get Thunder Fang, pair your Dragoon with either a Gunner, a Mass Dancer, or a Berserker. For physical damage Dragoon, because there are only 2 synthesis skills, you can pair your Dragoon with any of the required archetypes to get both Mania Bullet and Bullet Barrage. However, my recommendation is either a Thief or Merchant for Mania Bullet and Knight or Healer for Bullet Barrage. But for magic damage Dragoon, a lot more combination can be made to get all of the magic damage synthesis skills. But the quickest suggestion would be to pair your Dragoon with another Gunner and a Mage. This unlocks all of the magic damage synthesis skills and could possibly open up for both physical and magic damage Dragoon in one party, well if you wanted it. But you can always take up to 3 archetypes accompanying your Dragoon to get the synthesis skills you wanted. Like for example, a Mass Dancer, a Healer, and a Summoner for a potentially stacked magic damage party, plus all of the magic damage synthesis skills. And that's about it. These are my builds for the Gunner archetype lineage. Gunner is an interesting archetype. While it seems very unconventional with it contradicting the formation system, it can create 4 interesting build variations. If you have any Gunner builds of your own and you don't mind sharing them, feel free to use the comments section down below. Thank you again for watching. Also thank you FiGGYZ for sponsoring this video as usual, and I will see you next time.